All right, it is Derrick Rose night at the United Center. I'm going to be talking about some of the things that I remember from Derrick Rose and his time with the Chicago Bulls. We're also going to be looking at the preview of this upcoming game versus the New York Knicks. This is your host, Rico Greenhowe, and welcome to another episode of Bulls Digest. And so today, the Chicago Bulls take on the New York Knicks. And if it is not pressure enough for the Chicago Bulls, well, it is Derrick Rose night. So the energy in the arena is going to be electric. And so let's go ahead and first start off with the preview going into this game against the New York Knicks. And so as we usually do, let's start with the injury report. And so Torrey Craig is on the injury report. It looks like that he's still dealing with a lower leg injury. Couldn't really find too many more details there. And then with Ayo still dealing with that calf issue. We know that it's going to be some more days until he is reevaluated. And so really no new news with the injury report right now. And so this is a good thing that we don't have any more players that are appearing on that right now. And so with the Knicks, and so when we look at the Knicks, Jalen Brunson is listed on here. I think that he is more than likely going to play. I did watch their game against OKC last night, and so I think you could expect for him to play. He is listed as a game time decision. This is via NBA.com. I also checked this out on ESPN.com. The same thing too for McBride as well. He's also a game time decision as well. So maybe both of those players are more than likely trending towards suiting up tonight. So next up, just looking at this matchup and just really dating back to what happened earlier in this season. I think that this was quite the game for the Chicago Bulls. I mean, they had a great showing in Madison Square Garden and really had the Knicks throughout the game until Karl Anthony Towns just went wild. He had 46 points in this game. This game did go down to, I think, the last second there. That's where Jalen Brunson had a very good shot, and it ended up rimming out. Modest Buzelis had a highlight play here. But anyway, the Chicago Bulls, look, they really played well. They played with some heart, some intensity there. And I think that that is certainly going to be needed in tonight's game if they are going to knock off the New York Knicks. But this is what happened previously the last time the Chicago Bulls played the New York Knicks. And so now leading into tonight's game, like I said before, New York did play OKC, and that was a tough game. They actually had OKC for a moment until OKC really took off on a run. I think a lot of starters played some major minutes last night for the Knicks. They are traveling from OKC to Chicago, so that certainly might be something that really plays into this game. And I think it's fair to say right now that with the New York Knicks, I think that they clearly have won the trade between them and the Timberwolves right now, because I think that with Karl Anthony Towns, I think that he's really blended in very well with this Knicks team. And I also think, too, that you are seeing that just some of the other additions that they had in the offseason, I think that they are also really fitting in, like Mikal Bridges. Like, I think that he's really starting to find his stride after really struggling shooting the basketball early on. OG is kind of back from the injuries and things like that. So this team, quiet as it's kept, look, they've risen up into the standings and they're playing some good basketball. The Chicago Bulls, look, we know the story here. It's one game they're playing pretty well. They make you believe that they have some real potential, and then the next game, they just look like a team that just needs to tear it down. But the Chicago Bulls are looking to hopefully find some consistency as we move forward. And I think just the biggest thing for the Chicago Bulls is trying to figure out what they're going to do. I talked about this in yesterday's video, where you do have to go out there and prioritize player development along with winning if you're going to do this path. And we know tonight with Torrey Craig being out and then also Ayo being out, this means that Billy Donovan is going to have to really utilize his bench a little bit more, and he's going to have to trust the younger players a bit more. So that means that, Modest, Dalen Terry, Julian Phillips, Jalen Smith, these are players that are building block pieces that are absolutely going to have to get out there and play tonight. And so hopefully they're able to play and play pretty well, because there's going to be a lot of energy in the building tonight. So with the projected starters and some of the things to look forward to, I think that I expect for Zach LaVine and Vooch to really really lead this team tonight with all the energy in the building. And I think that they're going to have to lead the way with this younger team. If the Chicago Bulls are going to win this game, I think that both of those players are going to have a good game, and they need to come out and really establish the rhythm, establish the tempo. They cannot allow the Knicks to get on top of them early. And we know how flat that they played against the Washington Wizards. You do not want to get embarrassed on Derrick Rose night. So next up with Coby White. Look, Coby White has shown flashes. He continues to go to the rim. He needs to continue to have that activity and just slow down a bit, because some of these turnovers have been a bit ridiculous, and it comes down to just slowing down. And as a team, this team has really struggled with turnovers. Josh Giddey has shown an abundance of confidence, not just offensively, but defensively. Can he continue to build with this momentum? Because I do like the way that things have been trending. And I know he was super frustrated in the last game, but I like that as a competitor to see that from Josh Giddey. And so I hope that that same fire and intensity is there for tonight's game, and I hope that we get a better outcome. And then next up, just talking about the bench. And so that means that Jalen Smith, you're going to have Dalen Terry, Julian Phillips, THT. Like, these guys are going to have to step up in a big way, and hopefully we see some more of Modest Buzelis, because I talked about how well he's doing defensively as far as blocking shots. He's leading the team right now. This is a young man that we have got to continue to put on the floor, because make no mistake about it, Modest Buzelis is very much going to be a part of the future of this team. At least I'd hope so. And so we got to make sure that we get him out there on the floor. And so next with the New York Knicks, and I think some of the things to look forward for with their projected starters is Karl-Anthony Towns. I think that Karl-Anthony Towns is really settled in, and it's a treat actually to watch these games. If you get a chance to look at that on League Pass or whatnot, he's done a very good job as far as kind of getting in to this style of basketball that the Knicks like to play. So I think that he's definitely going to be going at the Chicago Bulls tonight, especially after having a big game against us in that first game. And then the Knicks are coming in. They just lost a tough one to OKC, just like I talked about before. You have Jalen Brunson. He's returning home in a sense here. So Jalen Brunson, I think he's going to want to show out. He definitely, has been a fan, I believe, of Derrick Rose. He said this before. Then you have Tibbs. And so Tibbs obviously is connected to the Chicago Bulls. He was the coach for Derrick Rose in his historic seasons that he's had with the Chicago Bulls and things like that. So it is going to be great to see Tibbs out there. But again, this Knicks team is a tough team, and it is a team that it just looks like it is going to be trending towards being there at the end, towards money time when it comes down to playoffs and trying to get into the championships and things like that. And so it's going to be nice to see a team like this that is together, connected, and how they're going to compete against our team tonight. And so that leads me to the last portion of the show, and that just leads into Derrick Rose. And so look, Derrick Rose, and just reflecting on Derrick Rose, and I think really the first thing that comes to mind for me when I think about Derrick Rose is just the what ifs, because just going back to his college days in Memphis, they were right there and they almost won the national championship. And I wonder what would have happened if they could have made those maybe 4 free throws with the last in the last minute or so of that game. And what happens if Mario Chalmers does not hit that shot that sends it into overtime and allows Kansas to secure that national championship. And so that is point number one for me. It's just, man, the what ifs, because Derrick Rose, he could have been a national champion in college. And so I think that is one. And then number two, obviously with the fact that he got injured right after just securing that MVP in the first round of the playoffs in 2012. And I just really feel like, as a Chicago Bulls fan, I know it's a little biased, but I just think that team with him on it certainly could have done something that we haven't seen since Michael Jordan did it, and that is bring a championship to the city. And so a what if for me. So that's point number one. And then number two, just the emotion that Derrick Rose gave this city, man, and just giving, the fans hope, man, because when he was a rookie, just when he came out, he won the Rookie of the Year. But how about that playoff series against the Boston Celtics? I think right now that is one of the best first round playoff series that I've ever seen. You have Derrick Rose, who scored 36 and 11 in his rookie debut there. And he joined Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Wilt Chamberlain, Tim Duncan as players that had scored the most in their rookie debut. I mean, you had Jabbar with 36 in 1970, Wilt 35 in 1960, Tim Duncan 32 in 1998. I mean, just you knew Derrick Rose was special when you saw that, just how poised he was in that playoff series. And then how about the young Bulls? And so when people tell me about, the potential of this team and things like that we have now, I'm like, look, that team, you knew it was ready to really kick in the door and it was ready to make noise. And I don't think that our team right now is there. I hope that it does get there at some point. But just thinking about some of those players that played during that time period, you had John Solomons, you had Tyrus Thomas, Joakim Noah, Ben Gordon, Kirk Heinrich, one of our veterans on the team. I don't even know if he was necessarily getting burned at the time, but Tim Thomas, Andres Nocioni, Brad Miller was on the team, Coach Vinny Dale, he was the coach at that time. But that team really made you believe that that was a team that was ready to kind of make some noise, and they did after that for the most part. And so never will forget that time. That's always going to be connected with Derrick Rose. And then going back to that playoff series, look, 4 overtime games, 7 overtime periods. I think it's still a record to this day. Like I said, go back, YouTube that if you have not got a chance to see that. That was an incredible series. I think I lost my voice watching it. So again, and then lastly, just the youngest player to win the MVP and what he had to say. I think to this day, the speech, the 37 seconds or so out of that speech where he says, why not? Why can I not be the best player? And he talks about how much work he puts in, how committed he is. To this day, I mean, if there's ever a point where you have a goal and you're going for something, if you turn on to that speech, I think that speech gives you the motivation to say, why not you? And so these are the things that I remember from Derrick Rose, just paying him a tribute. Make sure that you enjoy the basketball game tonight. I think it is going to be a great game. And something tells me the Chicago Bulls are really going to play well. You cannot lay an egg tonight with it being Derrick Rose night. It is going to be wild in the United Center. So as we say always, man, make sure that you press that like and share and subscribe to the content. It means a lot to us here at Bulls Digest as we try to reach our goal of 5,000 subscribers out there. Just want to let you know about 68.3% of you that watch are not subscribed. So make sure that you go ahead like Derrick Rose did and slam dunk on that subscribe button for us, as it means a lot as we try to reach that goal. And look, man, even though, this team is still really seriously trying to figure it out, there's a lot of trade rumors out there, and maybe the Bulls are doing this, maybe the Bulls are doing that. And I know that this team just really seriously has to pick a path. I still believe that at some point it's going to happen. And I'm always saying, guys, go Bulls, and I will see you on the next one. I'll see you after the game. We'll be doing some post game. All right, peace.